What's up, guys? Chuck Silva here, bringing you some Underdog NBA Battle Royale drafts. Don't want you to confuse this stream with the regular DFS stream I have coming up with Eric in about 30 minutes from right now. So I'm going to try to finish this up in about 20, 25 minutes. I just wanted to show you guys how I personally think the Underdog Battle Royales. And for NBA, it's great. I really like this $3 20 entry max. 1K to first. I got fifth place in it last night. One stat away from getting third, which would have been nice. But I've been ripping them for about 10 days. I guess actually since the beginning of the month. Been doing pretty well. And the way I create my rankings is basically using the model and then adjusting based on ADP, some of my personal feelings. And as you can see with the ADP differences here that I have in my rankings, we can find a pretty decent edge here. And so the biggest difference up top is Anthony Davis over Luca. I know it's kind of weird, but I am going to mix it up. I'm not just going to take Anthony Davis number three every time. I'm not going to take him over Luca every time. And then a couple other guys up here, Bam should be pretty high. We have Jimmy Butler. I have much higher than ADP. Victor Wembanyama. It's better on Underdog, on sites like Underdog that give 3 points to steals and blocks, but I'm still not too high on him for tonight. Rather get to Jimmy. A couple other guys. Nikola Vucevic a little bit lower than ADP. D'Angelo Russell, I think, is a really good spot. He's typically going to go in the last rounds of these drafts, but because LeBron James was ruled out tonight, I think that D'Angelo is a really good spot to take in probably the fifth round of these drafts. They're 6 round drafts. And I posted this file in the Occupy Fantasy Discord under the Underdog channel. So if you want to just download that file, you can upload it directly to Underdog using the CSV upload download option. And so I typically put in, I don't know, this is probably like 38 guys, 39, 40 guys, just to make sure that I'm always going to have at least one person on this list available to draft at the end of my drafts. Uh, Austin Reeves is probably going to go undrafted in a lot of drafts. Maybe he doesn't now with the LeBron James news. The ADP hasn't shifted much, but I should be able to get at least one of these bottom guys in the last round of drafts. And I just wanted to show you guys how I typically do these. So what I'm going to do, and this contest is great too, a 6 entry max $6. And so what I would have liked to do with the first NBA Battle Royale draft was just show the just do one draft and just kind of talk about how I do one draft. But because it's not good. But because I typically like I have my rankings in, so it's basically just auto drafting, and I'll show you guys how I do that in a second. So I'm just going to enter, I don't know, 15, 20 drafts, and we're just going to rip through them. Unlike NFL, the correlation isn't as important in NBA. It does matter slightly. If we are kind of equal between two picks, we're going to prefer to take the guy from the same game as one of our earlier picks. But it's not super important. It just kind of matters, and maybe in the sense of like blowouts. If the game is close, it's both teams' starters are going to be on the court to close the game, which is really important, especially in these drafts. And then the other note is kind of getting uniqueness. Now, you saw the bottom of my draft rankings list, and I don't think we need to do much to get unique in the first few rounds. It's maybe with our last two picks that we don't have to do something different. I think that you can just draft, make your rankings in the order that you want them. Strictly draft off those rankings, and you should be fine. So not sure I'm going to get to any $5 drafts today. Maybe I'll get a couple after the stream, but there's some pretty decent overlay. So if you're watching this right now and you can catch that overlay, I mean, it's basically your entry just becomes worth more. Um, and so maybe that's enough drafts. And so I'm basically just auto drafting. Like the first few times I did these, I went in and I was doing one or two at a time, have one on each screen so I could really pay attention. But I'm not really too worried about that if I'm going to end up drafting, 30 plus teams, especially I only have 20 minutes until lock. These drafts today, the regular NBA DFS slate starts at 4 for DraftKings and FanDuel, but for Underdog today, they're including the Dallas Indiana game, so these start at 3. And maybe that's some reason for the overlay. It's Sunday, so there's probably going to be overlay typically anyway. But I'm just on the active draft screen, and I'm just going to go right in order. Just you know, I have my active drafts on the left. Just go by which one's coming up next, and at least for the first few rounds, we're just going to take from the top of the list. I mean, there's no reason to make any kind of decisions. We're going to get, what do you call it? Like we're going to get differences in our. We're not going to draft the same guy every time. We're getting different picks in almost every draft, and so sometimes you are going to end up overweight. Most of the time, you're going to end up overweight to certain guys that you have higher in your rankings. But if we're only doing 30 drafts, it's not something that I'm worried about or even really considering. I'm just going to go by my rankings and just basically draft down the line. Now, I mentioned like slight correlation. If you are only doing one or two at a time, then yeah, you want to consider who your earlier like drafted guys are, and then probably pair them with people in the same game. It just it's kind of like a run back, I guess, but it's not as necessary in the NBA as it is in NFL. And so, like, I took Anthony Davis a couple times, I think. Not really sure, but we're going to go ahead and take Luka this time. Anthony Davis at number 4 is great. Remember, LeBron's out, and Anthony Davis had a terrible game last game. He might be a little bit injured, but don't really care. He's Anthony Davis. If he's good to go, he's good to go. And so, I'm not sure how this is going to make for you guys watching, but basically, you can just see like if you want to get in a ton of drafts, this is a really easy way to do it because unlike DraftKings and FanDuel, you're probably using the lineup builder or another optimizer to build a large pool of lineups. Where here, can't really do that. Even you don't even have to do this if you just want to enter the draft, walk away from your computer. If you have your rankings set, like you're already good. It's just going to auto draft. That's how a lot of the high level drafters do it. They just set their rankings and walk away. And Shay, quick bam. So basically, just picking down the line. Like if I wasn't streaming right now, I could just walk away, go in the other room, watch football for 20 minutes, or work on my other screen, prepare for the upcoming stream that I have with Eric. But um, basically, just gonna pick these guys here, mix it up with Maxi one time. So if you have any questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat. If you have any questions specific for today's slate or just the battle royale strategy in general, but you can see for the most part, I'm just going to take the guy at the top of the list. Sometimes I'm going to mix it up since I know I can I'm doing all the drafts at the same time. I can immediately tell that I've been taking the same guy over and over again. But so like D'Angelo Russell, I have pretty high in my rankings. You don't necessarily have to take him over whoever's next if you're paying attention to the draft because he's probably going to be there in the next round. We'll have to see how high he ends up going towards the end of these drafts since I haven't done any drafts in the past hour since LeBron's been ruled out. So, and you can see like I'm switching it up with Tyrese and Bam a little bit just so I get a little bit diversification. But for the most part, just drafting off my rankings. And then we'll take a look at the lineups after we're done drafting and see what we ended up with. So pick 27. I want D'Angelo over these guys, so I'm just going to go ahead and take him now. Yep, Steph Curry. And like I said, like if you want to get in a high volume of drafts, uh, you're not going to end up with the same every time. And so don't think like, oh, I'm just drafting the same team every time. Like other people are making different picks. People aren't always going by ADP, and so you're going to end up with a diverse enough portfolio while still being concentrated in the players that we really want to see in our exposures when we check it out at the end. So I took D'Angelo last time. I'll take Fred VanVleet this time. Usually, I'm ending up with a ton of Vooch. I'm going to mix it up with Zach LaVine on this one. Just going straight from the top here. Sengun, Cade Cunningham sounds great. Skylar Mays is an interesting one because Malcolm Brogdon's projected out tonight. He got hurt last game. He left the game. I don't know if he got officially ruled out, but he's not going to play tonight either way. And Skylar Mays, he got a lot of minutes last game. He's kind of an unknown player, and it might be weird to take him when there's other Kyle Lowry, Jalen Williams, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Benedict Mather, and Austin Reeves. Like those guys are still available on the board. Excuse me. But he played 40 minutes in the previous game for Portland, and starting point guard is playing 40 minutes. especially if other people are going to overlook him, especially on Underdog. Then yeah, then I'm going to be pretty interested in. So, and Steph hasn't. I mean, he's been mostly getting his fantasy points from scoring, and so we probably need Steph to put up 35 to 40 fantasy points. Everyone else on the Warriors, I still don't think anyone has put up a 20-point game on the Warriors besides Steph, and so he has to keep chucking them up. I'm gonna take Fred VanVleet here, and if I was only doing one draft, I would go and check. If I had another Chicago guy, I'd probably be more inclined to take Sar Thompson, but I don't have that time, and it doesn't really matter that much. I'm going to end up with some of Sar Thompson either way. So mix it up with DeMar DeRozan. I've been taking Vooch a few times. Um, yeah, I don't mind this. I'll take D'Angelo, and we'll go Zach Levine. I was considering taking a Cat one time since I don't think I've taken Cat yet, but it's all right. All right, I was going to mix it up with Jeremy Grant, but we got 2 picks in a row, so we'll just go ahead and take him and Cade Cunningham. And Angelo at pick 35, like that's great. Like now you might think, well, we've been taking him at pick 28. Are we giving up a pick? And maybe we are, but I don't think D'Angelo's going to make it to pick 35 every time. And regardless of if he is, I don't necessarily want what other people are doing to dictate what I'm doing. I know I want more D'Angelo in my portfolio tonight than the field has. Um, I'm assuming I have a bull here since I've been taking a lot of bulls, so we'll go with a SAR there. Tobias Harris is fine. Shane Sharp's kind of interesting too with Malcolm Brogdon out. His usage in theory should go up. He's been slightly scoring dependent, but Jeremy Grant is just taking every shot for this Portland team. And so Jeremy Grant's someone that we should be interested in here. Oh, perfect. We'll take Fred Van and Asar Thompson. And Asar Thompson, this guy's been fantastic, especially on formats like Underdog where blocks and steals are worth 3. This guy has such a good rebounding floor. I don't think he's had less than 7 rebounds in any game this season, and he's racking up the stocks, which is just it's so huge for fantasy, and like it's a more slightly random stat than like rebounds or assists, but he's doing it every single game, and so Sar Thompson, probably going to try to take a little more Sar since I have Vucevic, Levine, and Demar kind of higher rankings. Yeah, very happy to get Jeremy Grant here, and all right, finally get a little bit of a break. If we want to scroll down a little bit, some guys that I might be not getting as much of: Chet Holmgren, Cat, Brad Beal, but Brad Beal might be on a minutes limit. Played 31 minutes last game, so not really much of a limit, but it's tough for me to want to get there until he has played a few more games. Like Skylar Mays over all these guys seems kind of insane, but I'm going to trust my read and go with him. Fred VanVleet at 33 is beautiful. And so luck in getting really good rosters combinations of guys that are difficult to get is just being in draft rooms and having our draft mates pass those guys up. And so if you're only doing a couple drafts, it's not like DraftKings or FanDuel where you can just build your lineup. You can play whoever you want. You're not going to be able to do that here. I'll go with Michael MPJ here so I get a little bit different at the end. Take Jeremy Grant. Sar Thompson. And so you really have to do a lot of drafts and hope to get lucky. And on shorter slates, it's a little bit weird because, for example, the last couple of days, Giannis, and the day before, someone else. But on the shorter slates, it's so valuable to get more number one picks than our fair share. And so there's 6 people in the draft. If you get the number one pick more than 1 out of 6 times, you're doing really well. And I think yesterday I barely got any number one picks. But luckily, I was pretty high on Bam. I was taking number 2 overall, and he almost matched Giannis's fantasy score. So the number one pick wasn't necessarily as powerful, with what we know after the games actually happened. But on a lot of short slates, when there's one really powerful first pick, Jokic, Luka, Giannis, who is just expected to score so much better than everyone else. We're not going to take D'Angelo at number 21. So this is one thing with the rankings. Be careful about guys too far ahead of ADP. We'll mix it up with Cat here. And pick 30. Yeah, pick 30. We'll take D'Angelo and we'll take Skylar Mace. So we got a second. That was nice. Sar Thompson at 30. Just Sar Thompson is just such a good pick. I mean, I think he has such a good floor for a late round pick. Take Aaron Gordon here. And he also has shown a ceiling, which is beautiful. And like, so DeAndre Ayton, ADP 22, we got him at pick 28. Like, that's not going to happen in every draft. And so maybe we're getting a combination that's hard to get. Chet Holmgren at 31 when he's ADP 25. It's a combination that's hard to get. And so that alone is like some of the benefits that we can get just from ripping a bunch of drafts. And you don't necessarily have to do them at the same time. You can spread them out, do a couple at a time, whatever. But a lot of it is down to the draft room luck and then the pick luck. And so maybe when I'm down to like one draft, I'll go into the draft board and we can take a look. But back to getting like the number one pick on short slates when one guy is so far ahead of the rest, it's really difficult to compete for first when you don't get the number one pick on a slate like yesterday where Giannis is very clearly the number one pick. I know Bam almost matched the fantasy score, so yesterday it didn't matter as much, but most of the time it will matter a lot. And it's just like, yeah, we can get combinations of guys that the number one pick can't get, when we have picks 3, 4, 5, 6. But weird things do happen in these rooms, and you're going to see some seemingly impossible combinations finish at the top sometimes. And so I think volume is pretty key on here. You can get by with doing a few drafts. But that's at least 20 maxes, and then that's $6 max is a great format too. Yeah, we're just gonna go with Skylar Mace. I think I've been taking a lot of a SAR. We're fine with Zach Levine here, and now we're down to 4 drafts, so we can slow down a little bit. And, make more concentrated decisions, even though we don't know who's on the rest of the team. Like I said, it doesn't matter as much in NBA. Just go by the rankings. If you trust your rankings, use the Occupy model to help do that. Or if you're in the Occupied Discord and you ever want to rip some drafts, go ahead and just message me or just post it in the Underdog channel. Ask if I have rankings today. I don't mind sharing them. Yeah, we'll go with Miles Turner versus Joel Embiid. So we're down to our last draft. So let's take a look at what this draft board actually looks like. Uh, this is probably pretty typical. Like today, the first 4 picks, and even SGA and KD to an extent, like any of these guys could lead the slate in scoring. Yeah, Jokic and Embiid are probably the most likely candidate, but it's not guaranteed. And so there's not as much of an advantage with getting the number one pick on days like today. How many games are on this slate? 7-game slate. So it's pretty cool that the number one pick is that important because I've had really, really bad luck getting even just my fair share. 6-person draft rooms. If I'm doing say 24 drafts, I expect to get the number one pick on average 4 times. And recently, it hasn't been the case. I've been getting about half as much as I would expect. And so on days like where Giannis is number one pick, it hurts you a lot more, and it's even more reason to get more draft volume in on those days to increase your chances, increase your number of number one picks we're getting. But days like today, I mean, there's so many studs playing today that it almost doesn't matter. And like I said, you're going to see some crazy combinations at the top. Probably someone probably got Luca and KD on a team, maybe even Anthony Davis and Luca on a team at pick 6 and 7, and you're going to be saying like, how can it's funny business going on, but it's just decisions in draft rooms. And I've had some drafts thrown out because the guys were doing. I mean, they were very obviously doing something weird, like taking guys that typically go undrafted. Uh, with their 6, 7, 18, 19 pick. And if it's too obviously, they're doing something weird. But it doesn't necessarily benefit any one person. But because these are only 6-person drafts versus the best ball drafts where they're 12, if one person's throwing the draft, it kind of just benefits everybody. You're kind of getting like an extra draft pick every few rounds. But in these 6-round drafts, really like make for those impossible combinations that I'm talking about. So let's wait for this one to finish, then I will pull up my exposures and see where we're at. Did I get a game stack here? I don't know. It's playing here today. All right, we didn't end up getting, little game stack here. Oh, we did. Cat and Steph. So that's great. Let's go ahead and look at that. So there's about 5 minutes left. I'm going to cut the stream right after I look at my exposure, see if I can get a few more drafts in. But got 20 drafts in just now, 14 in the buzzer beater. We maxed out the 6 man. And guys, like, this is the easiest way to profit in DFS is over. I mean, it's going to get in the 80s, sure, but it's going to be rake free. And it just, you're competing with less people to get first place. And since everyone can only put in 20, it's not like the high volume drafters are going to be able to just go in and fill it like they are the Sunday shoot around. The shoot around already filled. Yeah, but the 150 max, it's different because most people aren't doing 150 drafts, and if someone wants to take advantage of that overlay, they can just go and keep ripping more drafts. But if they already max out their 20, they can. If they already maxed out the 6, they can't. So exposure. Yep, Skylar Mays. I expected him to be up top, and so I mentioned D'Angelo was high in my rankings. I only got him 30%, and 30% is still well over the field. It's the average percent. So there's 6 people in draft, 16.7%. So if you have more than 16.7% of someone in your excuse me in your exposures, then you're over the field. Like I'm way over on Anthony Davis, Steph Curry, Thompson, Scott Hayes, even Jeremy Grant, Kyrie, Fred VanVleet. Like I'm over the field on all of these guys, and then some guys that I really didn't get that much were the guys I'm not that interested in. Rudy Gobert is a last round pick, Karl Anthony Towns mid round pick that I have other guys over. MPJ last round, like these are all last round picks. Chet and Zion, EA, they're more middle, I guess, but you know, like I said, I'm only going to have 30 to 40 drafts in today specifically, so I don't really care about diversifying as much. I just want to get my guys. If I was doing 150 in the regular battle royale, then I would care much more. But I don't, and so I'm gonna go rip a few more drafts, go take advantage of that overlay. Like I said, I posted my rankings in the Underdog channel in the Occupy Fantasy Discord. So if you want to just download those, upload them in the rankings right here, CSV upload. Make sure you click NBA CSV upload. Just go enter them before it closes. Like enter them before this 3.5 minutes is up, and you can finish the draft. Like it closes now, so that every draft is guaranteed to finish before the 3 o'clock start time for the first game. But like I said, if you trust my rankings, or go in there and make a couple edits yourself, and just enter the drafts and just essentially auto draft and just get that volume in. I mean, especially the $6 six max. This is a great entry point if you're new to drafting battle royales. It just everyone can only enter 6, so it just trying to think out of word. It's like more of the field is composed of casual players. It's just more people are in it rather than the 150 max or even the 20 max. But these are both great contests. So I'm going to log off right now, max out both of these. Appreciate anyone watching. I'm going to be live with Eric in about 7 minutes on the same my channel talking about DraftKings and FanDuel. So if you're going to stick around for that, I'll see you guys in a few minutes. Thanks. And also, just in case you're new to Underdog, you can deposit your first deposit will be matched up to $100 with the promo code Occupy2, the number 2. And if you're not a member of the Occupy Fantasy website, you can join for as little as $7 a day. Ask questions on the upcoming stream, and we'll help you out there. Thanks, guys.